you think of the league giving you 2 Thursday games as far as rescheduling?
I think it's fine. I think it's fine. I'm not going to complain about us having an opportunity to play this year. So I'm good with it. It's everybody's going to have to do some things this year that's a little bit out of their comfort zone, and certainly, playing Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or whatever it is, I don't think is the ideal for prep. But you look around America, and some teams are playing games coming off and not practicing for a week. So as long as we stay healthy, I'm just happy we're getting the games in.
Hey, Coach, I hope about how your team competed on Monday in the second half and the production of your bench and any other positives that you take from that.
Dave, after watching the tape, I do think that we competed hard the second half. I do think that there were a lot of positives from that. Obviously we couldn't guard one guy. The thing that's a little frustrating for me is, Jared had such a great game. He was fabulous. He made one basket on Marcus, and everything else was on somebody else. Marcus gave up, I think, one basket when he was guarding somebody else. We were not doing a good job, in my opinion, of the entire team stepping up and taking the challenge of locking in and controlling the guy. And if we'd have played great defense, he still gets 20. But still, though, we should have done better with that. But I did think we competed harder. I thought early in the game, I thought a couple of guys were too excited and too sped up, which led to bad play and put us in a hole, so to speak. Not that we wouldn't have been behind anyway, but just, instead of being behind 9 to start the game, if we had a little bit more poise, it'd been 4 or 5 or whatnot. So I think we got to find that balance where we're as excited as we were the other day, but also there's a calm about us, which I didn't feel like we had to start that game. And then after we got into the game, especially after halftime, I thought the guys played pretty well. We had chances, more chances than I thought we would probably have, being down 13 and a half to put some real game pressure on them, but we did, and we just didn't make enough plays. But when you get behind like that to a good team and all their guards can handle and dribble and make free throws, you put yourself in a situation you got no margin for error, and we just didn't play well enough in all areas. But I was proud of the guys. I mean, they did try.
Bill, you've seen Brady Manick, it feels like a million times since you've been here. What comes to your mind when you think of him, and what do you think of the player he's become?
Well, we didn't see him the first time, obviously, Scott, and I hope he's healthy, because he took a pretty hard lick in the Baylor game, if I'm not mistaken. But what I see, first thing I think of is quick release. I mean, how many guys that are 6'9" have a quick release like that from the perimeter? And that makes him extremely hard to guard because he needs no space to get it off. And that's one of the most impressive things that I see about him. He doesn't have to dip to shoot, and he's always catching ready to score. So we've got to do, we got to guard all 5, but certainly we can't let him make 5 or 6 threes. And if he gets off 6 or 7, he's capable of making that number. So we got to do a real good job on him.
Can you learn much from that first OU game then, since he didn't play, or how much stock do you put in that?
You know what? I think we could still learn, and hopefully we are learning from it on what worked, how we guarded them, and maybe what didn't work, because even though he'll be in the game, he may not be in the game in the 5 spot, and their 5-man was the way that keyed us on how we guarded.
Okay.
Now, if he plays the 5, we won't be able to guard like that. But I do think that I do think we can learn some stuff from it. I do.
Hey, Coach, in terms of, and I hope I say this right, in terms of just getting some confidence back, getting back on track, not falling further behind in the Big 12 race, how important is Saturday's game?
Well, Saturday's game is important. It's a little bit of a it's kind of crap that, you lose 2 in a row and the sky's falling because there wasn't a home game in between that you could make sure that didn't happen. And I'm not saying that guarantees victory, but usually over time we're pretty good at home. So that makes it harder, and it kind of gives you a false sense. So basically three road games in a row in our league, and I don't think anybody would say that's the formula that's great. And we lost at Okie State when we played poorly, but we had a shot. And then you go play a team as good as Baylor, then if you're not really, really good, you're probably going to go home sad there. And we weren't really, really good. We were okay. And then you're playing a team Saturday that can beat anybody in our league, especially at home. So it's a hard league, but this is one of those years that I'm not going to get hung up on what ifs. I'm not going to get hung up on being thrown a curveball. None of that stuff. I'm just going to roll with it, and hopefully the players can do the same thing. That to me is the best way to get through this year and attack this year. I shouldn't say get through it. That means like you're hoping it gets over. To attack it in a way that we can maximize our chances to play as many games and be as effective as we can be.
Where's the balance of playing with juice and energy, but not playing out of control?
Well, I mean, every athlete knows that you're supposed to play with juice and energy, and hopefully through years of preparation, that allows you to have control of your emotions, so to speak. But kids still get excited. They still get excited, but I if you're going to err on one side, I would certainly err on being too excited, or than having to get turned up. And I think our last two games, we've had both emotions. We needed to get turned up at OSU, and we didn't, and we need to calm down at Baylor, and we waited a little bit too long to get that done.
Hey, Bill, how would you evaluate where Tyon is right now?
Well, I mean, he's not playing much, Jesse. So I mean, that kind of says it right there. I mean, I love the kid. He's a great human being. A sweet spirit, all the things. He hasn't, done the things that I would hoped he would do to this stage, and we're certainly not giving up on him by any stretch. But we haven't seen in practice what we'd like to maybe translate to the game at all. But that doesn't mean he hasn't done some things well in practice. It just means that the way that we play may not fit the way that maybe sometimes he's done things well in practice. So, but I got to get him out there. I want to get him out there. He deserves to be out there. But just to be very candid with you, I think that we're playing the guys that give us the best chance the way things are going. But we hope that changes, because he would give us a great chance or enhance our chances if we've all felt like we were in tune with what we needed to do. But it's not anything defiant, nothing like that. He's terrific. He just hadn't had the opportunities, and it's hard to give guys opportunities when you haven't seen some consistency.
Hey, you talked about Dave and his balance a lot this year. What I'm curious about is, what does he do to kind of work on that? Is that something with Ramsey, or is that?
Oh, no. We spent a ton of time on that. A ton.
Yeah.
As soon as the season was over last year, we identified exactly things that we need to do to try to help with that through our strength and conditioning program. And Ramsey's done a good job with him, and those sorts of things. I think some of Dave's things that appear to be balance are maybe balance, but they're also excitement too.
Sure.
I don't think it's all physical. I think some of it is, he just gets excited. And I told the team this yesterday, and this would be a positive, negative. It's just factual. You have a guy that wants to do good so bad, and you guys all know Dave. He wants to do good so bad, and he's done really well of late. I mean, really well. Our best player of late. And he wants to do well so bad, and we've emphasized, we want to throw it to him, and then when things don't work out and a couple of bad plays happen, you start to doubt. Then you get 2 quick fouls, and all of a sudden now your whole mindset changes the way that you went into the game. And I believe you can get through that. I believe that's a sign of maturity. I believe that's a kind of a toughness thing and be able to block things out. But, that's easier said than done too. So, even though the other day against Baylor, I don't, he was sped up early. He'd be the first to admit that. but he really didn't have a chance after he was sped up in the first 2 minutes because he was already sitting on the bench. So that was unfortunate because of fouls, sitting on the bench because of fouls.
Sure.
You talked about getting Marcus some rest. Same with Ochai, but how do you do that when there's so much value with them on the floor late game?
Well, that's part of the value would be, for me, Kenitra, would be they would be better the last 5 minutes, maybe if they played less minutes earlier. But you need them to be in the game earlier because you can't let a 2-point deficit become 7 or whatever or whatnot. And Marcus has we talked about this yesterday. His role's totally different. He goes from being Robin to Batman, and now he's got the ball in his hands all the time, and he's got to at least start on the other team's best player and be our best defender and be our a leader and do things where everybody has scouted him, and he doesn't have maybe as many offensive weapons around him as what we had last year that could take pressure off of him, such as the thing about it is you get Marcus in the same spots, but big guys didn't come try to block a shot last year. They couldn't, because as soon as they did, they left Doki throw it anywhere and he catches it and he dunks it. So big guys are hesitant to come block it. This year we don't have that same type of big guy as far as vertical athlete. So now big guys can afford to come over and help all they want to. And it's just stuff like that it's just a little bit different for him. He's not playing poorly. He's just not playing probably great, but he's not playing poorly. He's playing pretty well. I thought he played pretty well against Baylor. I thought his stats were pretty good, but when you get tired, you get a little careless sometimes. And I think we've had some bad turnovers late game.
Bill, have you tried to kind of reprogram him in the way he attacks because of not having Doak out there and, the personnel being different?
No. I mean, try to reprogram in a way, Jesse, to maybe make some better decisions at times, but no, I don't want to reprogram him. No, he needs to go, and if he can beat his man, take him. But you got to understand, going around Davion Mitchell is harder than going around some other folks. I mean, that dude can really guard. So I thought he did some really good things. He had 8 assists the other day, which is a very good number, especially against a team that guards the way they do. But he can probably make a couple of more timely and better decisions, maybe late game. But I'm not gonna talk to him in any way, shape, or form about taking away any aggressiveness.
Got time for a couple more.
Yeah.
I do think he should shoot more. I mean, I do think he should shoot it more. So that would be a way that we kind of change how he attacks. I do think he needs to look for his perimeter shot more.
What can you do to kind of help pull Jalen through the last couple of weeks? Ochai was talking about how it's a little bit like his freshman year when he started so well and then kind of hit that funk, and how he's helping him through that. What can you guys do to help him through it?
I think we watched a lot of tape. He's seen. I think the things that's happening with guys sometimes, and I won't speak specifically to Jalen, but I think a lot of times guys get a false sense of kind of what they're doing out there on the court in the time in which they're out there. I think the tape is a great way to kind of educate everyone that it doesn't lie, and you can slow that thing down, and you can basically, what are you thinking here, and what are you thinking, and you go from a situation sometimes where why is he taking me out, to a situation sometimes, well, I should have come out much earlier. You kind of change that mindset, and Jalen's going to be fine. Jalen's a tough kid, but he's also a freshman, and people scout in this league, and they've taken some things away. And when he was really, really probably most effective early in the season, playing 5 guards. So he's a 5-man. He's got a 5-man guard him. Now he doesn't. Now he's got a guard him on switches. And so, but David's been pretty good. So now we've been trying to play through David more. So I think it's a combination of things, but he'll be fine. He's a tough kid. He does need to see the ball go down, but it will.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about Tristan. It seems like he's contributing more and more, but what's maybe the next step for him?
I think I do think he's contributing more and more, and I think he's done some really good things. I think the consistency of it, of having the motor running at 100% each and every day, he is still a very smooth player. We had a player here, you guys will remember him, obviously, that covered Archie Marshall back in the mid-'80s, that would have been an NBA player, 2 ACLs, all the stuff. And I remember guys getting on to him sometimes. God dang, turn it up, Arch, turn it up. And I think Coach Brown finally said, "You guys not understand? This is who he is. He is just a smooth athlete." And I think Tristan is kind of in that same realm, in that he's a very smooth athlete, and sometimes very smooth athletes give the appearance that maybe they're not turned up as much. But the one thing I would say about Tristan, we'll know when he's turned up, is if he can guard on the perimeter and guard the ball. And that to me is something that I think that would be the next step with him, with me, that I think takes him to a whole different level.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
All right, guys.
Thanks.